We engage in authentic conversations about our weekly entrepreneurial goals while exploring business, failures, success, and personal growth.
We're going to continue to work and get better at this, so thanks for tuning in.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Our vision will highlight a diversity of guests who are creatives, industry leaders, and individuals creating positive change within our communities. Join the Our Vision podcast on our shared journey to becoming better humans. It's not only our vision, but it's your vision too.
FSU.
All right, welcome. This is the Our Vision podcast.
It is.
Episode 9.
We've made it 9.
Yes.
That's good.
So we're going to get into business strategies for the week. All right, Joe. So we're getting into more market research in the area of video production and photography. So what have you been doing? I know you've been doing a lot of Google Drive integration type education for yourself.
Yeah, we've been talking and trying to get better at creating process-driven things that we do over and over and over again, right? So one of the things today I worked on was setting up a document for lead generation. And so I was working on that today as you were doing. I don't know, what were you working on? A couple of things,
I was
right?
working on edits for the most part.
You were for an educational client.
But we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I was doing that. And so I'm thinking, like, I'm terrible at, this isn't something I'm real strong at. So, but one of the things I know about my personality is if we don't set it up right the first time, it's going to be hard for me to keep track of cold calls and what we're doing with future clients. So I called a friend of mine and we started talking. I talked to her about, because she does, she's a computer programmer, so I bounced some ideas off her, and then I came back to the table and started thinking about what kind of information do we want to extract for certain leads. And I think, what was that? A couple weeks ago, we did an exercise on different markets we might want to go into. So we came up with, help me out here. We came up with agriculture, construction,
food and beverage,
outdoors,
travel, industry,
like
travel.
We're near the
real
lake
estate.
here, real estate, that kind of thing. And those were, we tried to come up with different categories of businesses that we would not only enjoy creating content, but we might have had an interest in on some level. And we kind of compromised both ways for each of us to be able to have that as part of the business. So I was like, well, we got to get new leads. And I'm thinking, man, I do not want to type all this shit in. You know, it's a lot of typing. So you start thinking if you were to type in. So one of the ways we were thinking about looking for other businesses and leads was you came across somebody that was talking about it, or I did. I can't remember now. They were saying,
it was.
We were watching that webinar.
Well, it was a webinar. Yeah, it was a webinar on what was it?
Expanding
content creation.
Yeah,
it was content. It was a content plan, basically.
Right, and reaching
which
out
we
to,
had already been talking about. We were just calling it something different. So retainer. It had to do with retainer.
It was
programs.
Yep. So structuring your business in a way that you, they contract with you for 12 months in advance, and they pay you so much per month to create content for them. So it was taught. And he brought up some really good points, but he brought up an exercise about how do you find people in your area, and one of the ways was go to Google Map, right? And type in, let's say, coffee houses, and you find every coffee house in the area, right? Well, I can't imagine typing all that in. Like, that would drive me nuts. I would do it if we needed to do that. But so I was thinking, there's got to be a way to extract data. So I came across on Google Chrome where you can put an extension on there and download an extension called Data Scraper. Instant Data Scraper is what it was. So what I did was to try it out, to get it to understand how it might work, is I was able to type in, let's say, coffee houses. I did construction, I did outdoors, I did several of them. And it'll let you take that first top 20 searches, and it'll make .cvs file? CSV, and I always get it flipped. So, Brad,
you're thinking of CVS, the
where
pharmaceutical store.
Yeah. So once you put this extension on and you search it and you're in Google Map, you just click on it, open it up, and it extracts all that data. So it extracts, if they have it, the website, their reviews, how many reviews they had, their address, their telephone number, And there's some other data in there. And then you can import that into your Excel sheet or your Google Sheets. So I was working on that today, and I was able to show you in between what you were working on, and I think it'll save us some time, and it'll help us keep track of who we've already talked to and kind of do the numbers game and blow through it and try to create more revenue. It's a numbers game. You'll find people that need help with creating content. So I worked on that, and then I also set the sheet up for every category that we have of a business. So construction, outdoors, travel, all those ones we listed off. So there's a tab for each one of those. So when we do get a client that is interested in working with us, I can just start to load them into that generator as we start to build that. And then once we've done a job, we'll move them into a client database. So we might reach out after we've done the work 6 months down the road if they're not, doing the, what'd you call it? What are we calling it? A retainer.
Yeah, I don't have
we don't really have a name for it yet.
A solid name. We were calling it partnership, but
Yeah.
that was with a different client of ours.
Which works.
But I don't know if that works for them.
Yeah, but we want
But
something
I still
more.
might change the name of that.
Yeah.
So it makes more sense.
So we're trying to figure that out yet, right? So, but anyways, I think what I showed you today feels right for now, and that's the way we're going to do that to create new lead generations, and it'll save me some time on coming up with different areas. So, and then moving forward, I don't know if there was anything you thought of as far as when I was showing you that today, like what you felt about it, or if you thought it was a good way to go, or if it looked like it was saving us some time.
Yeah, I think it'll save time. It seemed like you were able to put all the information or pull the information from Google, from the business websites or the Google web portion of Google business portion of their businesses.
No,
you're pulling all that data out of that, right?
Yeah, you're pulling that from Google Maps
with the CSV.
Yep.
Extension, right?
Yep. With one click, it does it.
Yeah, but it's pulling out of that Google business information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
So, I mean, it seemed pretty easy. It didn't seem like it took you very long to do it. Once you got that extension onto your computer, it seemed like it handled it pretty quickly. So now it's like, what is one of the challenging things with that now?
Well, I think one of the keeping the information straight. So now what I'll have to do is like exhaust an area. We, sit down and talk to you, like, where's our draw off line right now? How far do we want to run down? Do we really want to go to Columbus for a coffee house? I don't think so. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't make sense. But would we go to Columbus maybe for a construction company? Possibly. It's a different budget. It's a different type of client. So I think one of the drawbacks now is like, where's the cutoff line? And so you can only do 20 at once, right? So then I got to go and then move the map, and there might be some overlap there. You understand? So when I copy and paste the next one in, trying to keep the data straight, I think is going to be some of the trouble.
And what data is it pulling from Google Business for each of these businesses?
Well, it's Google Map is where it's pulling it from, but
but it's integrated with Google Business. So a lot of these business, what you have to do is sign up for Google Business, and then they put you on the map.
They would be in the.
Because I had to do that for my business. So.
You're absolutely right. I agree with you. What were you going to ask me, Brett? I'm sorry.
What data does it pull out of those?
Each business, depending on what
the
they
data
have,
from Google Business.
It pulls out
what exactly
company
is it pulling
name,
out?
website URL, telephone number, the amount of reviews they have, addresses if they're listed, hours of operation. I don't know if I came across any emails today. Not sure about that.
I was just thinking that before you said it, because our target for businesses are typically the marketing department.
Right.
So would you have to go to their websites then and pull that information if it's available?
I would go to their website regardless, because what I was doing today was utilizing this as a way to start to set it up and to understand and think about it, because I still think it's going to take me a few days to accomplish what I want to accomplish for us. But I still would like to go to their websites, because then you start to understand what they're doing. Some websites had no video.
Yeah, of course.
Some people had there was a couple businesses in our area I had no clue they even existed over in Lorain County. It was like outdoors camping, and they made tents and tables and lights, and they had like 8 or 9 different areas that they provide product for. No clue they exist, right? And so I would still go through all the websites anyways, I think, Brad. I think that would help us.
Yeah.
Just like we do with the educational stuff, we start to look at it.
Sorry.
No,
there's going to be some manual data that you're going to have to input into these lead spreadsheets that you're creating. Right?
Yeah, as we start to go through, we're going to sift through them and determine if this is a client that is going to fit our. Is this a client that we want to go after?
Yeah.
So some are going to be yes, some are going to be no, and then we don't waste our time. They get put into another category, right? The ones that we'll go after will go into those other tabs, right? So I got an extract sheet that we're using, right? We're scraping the data. It'll all go in there. Then when we find a really good business that we think we might want to go after or work with, or we find that they're amicable to those ideas that we creating content, then we move them into their construction, or we move them into the food and beverage, or we move them to the outdoors, or we move them to education, and then they get rolled into that line then, especially if we find out who the marketing person is and those kind of things. So they'll get moved from the data scrape sheet into their own tab, into their whatever industry they're in then, Brett. And we'll start to work it backwards that way.
So just so other people know, why is what you're doing beneficial to a business? What's
one of the reasons
benefit of it?
One of the reasons we started looking at the whatever we're going to call the program, it's almost like they're going to hire us for a retainer right? I'm trying to think what we're going to call it. Help me out here, brother.
Well, we don't have.
I know, but what's it kind of called? What's it doing?
It's just a retainer.
It's a retainer,
plan.
And we work with them.
Basically, all it is, it'd be like a monthly, almost subscription,
right?
And the customer would pay monthly, and they would get so many videos per month.
And this isn't theoretical. We've already started doing this
annually,
and we had one client already do this with us, and it worked.
Yep,
and it worked well, and it was good value, right? So the reason I'm doing this is so that we can explore other clients that would participate in this kind of program with us, which gives them a benefit of a cost savings right down the road. If we know that they're coming to us month after month working with us, we can afford to give them a little discount, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the longevity of working with them, we start to understand their business better and create stronger content that gives them a better ROI on their investment of creating content with us, right? So, and I started running the numbers today, and it's really exciting. Like, just think about this, Brad. If you had 20 clients, right, and this is low, $500 is low, right? But if you had 20 clients paying you $500 a month, right, a year, that's $120,000. That's like 20 clients. If you had to go through 1,000 people, right, to get 20 clients, that would be great, right? Because how many people would want to make $120,000 a year, right? So that's why we're doing it. We're doing it so that we know we have revenue coming in, right? And that'll help us to expand and work on other projects that we want to do. Yep. So that helps us with buying equipment too. That was one of the things that when you know you have $5,000 or $6,000 or $10,000 coming in a month, you can budget to buy a new camera or whatever you need for the company, right? So that's the purpose why you and I are doing this, I think.
Yep.
And you worked on some things too, though. We talked about when you come up for a budget for a customer and you need more information to be able to give them an accurate quote. And so you worked on something this week that will help us out with that.
So a big problem that we run into in the video production industry is getting enough information from a client that kind of informs us of the scope of the project and the budget. So what I did was, part of that problem was emails and communication. So it was a lot of back and forth because customers typically don't know what they need or what they want. Some do, but a lot don't. And So trying to pull that information from them can be difficult when you're going back and forth through emails or phone calls. So what I did was I created a customer questionnaire for video. And what that will do is answer some important questions for us that'll help us understand the scope of what they need, what they want, what are their goals for the videos. And I think it'll just make the process more streamlined and easier, and it'll save a lot of communication. Well, not that communication isn't important, but it'll save the cat and mouse game of
you brought up a good point, though. Sometimes they don't even know. So within that form, we came up with a couple questions like to either head off a problem or make the client think about it, right? Sometimes they don't even know what to think about. So you're telling the client what you need from them to create a good product, right? Or at least start that person to think about those kind of guidelines as to what they're looking to do. So that project is already being tested today.
So this is a new thing, and it's all integrated through Google. So it's all hooked up with Drive, and it's a form. So you just create your form, and once it's created, you just email it. You can send it directly into their email where the form shows up in the email, or you can send them a link through their email, and they can click on the link and it'll take them to the form. They fill out the form. When they finish filling out the form, you'll get a notification within that form program. And you can see and it saves all the information.
Yeah, and that form can be linked to a Google Sheet, which then
I would imagine
it can.
I didn't look that far into it, but I'm sure it
can. Because that's how I did our client sheet.
Yeah.
There's an intake form. We're going to have to look at that again because we had a little bit of bugs on it. But so that you can hook the form to the Google Sheet. And so all that information coming in then comes in as a data point onto that sheet. So each one of those questions you asked will come into an Excel sheet, which then you can look at diagrams. Oh, this person's they're not answering this form here, or I'm always getting this answer, or this is the approximate. You ask them how many videos they want. Let's say the construction might be longer in a certain industry, and so you'll start to see those trends on those data points too. So that's interesting to me.
And if anyone else has a different way of their process with gathering information from customers, no matter what you do, I mean, shoot it at us, put it in the comments.
Yeah.
And because we might not be doing it the best way, someone might have a better idea, but from everything I've dealt with in the past, I feel like this should help a lot and answer a lot of questions. And another touchy subject when you're in a meeting with a potential customer is budget. So it's tough to say, hey, how much money do you have? Because you don't know how they're going to take that. And so in the back of your mind, you're like, well, are they going to think that we're trying to milk them for all their money? Well, that's not the case with us. The reason we need to know the budget from a customer is so that we can understand, like, if they're going to be able to afford it, for one, and two, to see if we could actually fit our production to their budget. Yeah. So if they have a lower budget, I mean, there's some leeway there, like let's say you quote them $5,000 for a video, for like a 3-minute video or something, just as an example. And they only have like 4,000, and you can work with them.
Right.
And we're always willing to work with people
within reason.
Within reason. So it's important to understand that. So we actually threw that into the questionnaire too. What is your budget? So we understand what we have to work with from a production standpoint. And sometimes they'll want more than what they can afford, and we'll have to pull them back and say, well, maybe you should limit it a little bit or scale it back.
Yeah, we were working with a third party today, and we talked about those kind of issues when I made the phone call. It was like, it was a nonprofit. Not that the nonprofit can't afford it. There's some nonprofits that pull in quite a bit of money, but when they're young and first starting off, they might not have those kind of resources. But here's our price point for this project, But if that's too much for them, let us know, because then what we need to do is maybe educate the client to say, well, you do need some marketing materials, or you need a way to get your message out there. So let's do a 30-second and start here. You know what I mean? So it doesn't have to be the end of the project or the end of the sale, but you shouldn't be giving away $5,000 of work for $1,000, but it just
depends where you're at too. It all depends on where you're at and your experience.
It does, but should we be at that?
What you're willing to.
Exactly.
I mean, it's okay if you want to get your feet wet and
it's
get into
yes,
that, that's
but
okay.
If you've been doing this, you should not be doing it.
Yeah, if
that's
you've been
ridiculous.
doing it for over a decade.
Right? Yeah, right. So that's my point, though, is you're absolutely right. That's a whole nother conversation, is like, if you're, if you need exposure or experience, that's another thing. You know what I mean? But if you've been doing it over a decade, I would not suggest doing that anymore. Because when your camera breaks, you need to be able to buy a new one, or if you need to upgrade.
That should help us out a lot. Where did I pull that questionnaire from? Oh, it's Google Forms.
Google Forms. Yeah, we made it.
Yep.
We decided
we customized it. Yep.
And you can do polls that way too. There's a lot of things you can do with Google Forms. Yep. We just scratching the surface, but it's definitely a tool I think you could look at to communicate with clients. It's a good tool.
So anything that can streamline communications, because if it's not streamlined, you waste so much time with back and forth emails, and that time's valuable to both parties, the customer and the company that's providing the service. Yeah.
Well, and I think anytime you can solidify the information, or like streamline that information. So like emails, I don't know about you, but it drives me nuts when a client starts to email in multiple threads. You'll be working on one project and you got an email here, and you got just comment.
They send a new email.
Yes.
With each email they send, they don't keep it within a thread, like video reviews. That should all those communications should stay within that email. But it happens. So
it does happen. But what I always try to drive it back to the thread. I like working in a thread with people, and it's helpful for us to keep the information. So my point is, I guess, Brad, is like we agree that anytime you can keep all that information in one place, and it's better for the client, it's better for you, and it keeps the project organized, or helps keep the project organized.
Another important thing that some people might not think about too is keeping all of your communications within your email. So let's say you verbally agree to terms on a project, but you don't have it written down. You can't go back in history and prove that whatever those terms were are what you agreed to. So having that email, that email that you can see visually, that's always there. The record of it's there, so
we agreed on this. This was delivered. But
so just having those records
that goes back to the contract, to look back on, right? That goes back
if you
to
ever
the
run
contract.
into problems. Yeah.
And we're getting stronger on the contracts. I think that's really important. And I think anytime you sign a contract, it's good for everybody that's involved in the project, because it says what you're going to deliver. It says, what each party is responsible for, that kind of thing. So,
and I've made that mistake so many times.
Well, yeah,
which I think I've mentioned in past episodes, but
we worked on that this last month. So,
yep.
But yeah, I think today was productive. We were able to talk to a couple clients. So I'm excited to check that off the list and move on to the next thing this week.
Absolutely. So that's part of the weekly plan. And hopefully this gives some people some ideas of how they can approach.
I like that you asked for
their
feedback
work
on that.
Week. So,
if there's any other ways of staying organized, let us know. Because I was saying
today
while I was doing
we don't know it all.
I wish we had somebody that would do paperwork for us, because we're not. That's not our thing. But that's part of being an entrepreneur too. Is you got to figure out sometimes you have to solve the problem. And we keep running into that problem. So
it's fun. It's fun. Now, when you start getting the work in, when you have customers coming to you and you're getting piled up with work, then that's when it becomes a problem.
Right.
But when that happens, you have enough money coming in to where you should be able to afford those other services if you need to outsource anything to somebody or hire someone. So yeah, I think that was a important discussion. Is there anything else that you want to talk about with your experience with
I was just
what you're going to do this week with those integrations?
I was just really excited to, even though we have a tech background, I didn't know that it even existed until today, like scraping data. I had no clue that I was sitting around thinking, I was like, there's got to be a way, and so I was really excited to learn that. Like you said, it's kind of fun learning. So yeah, I'm excited. So this week, what I'm going to do now is, I think it's going to take me a couple days yet, but maybe not, is start to sift through start building us a lead generator, find companies that need us, and just go through the websites like we usually do and just comb them over, find people that need what we have, right? So if they don't have video or they're still using stock imagery and it has nothing to do with what they're doing, offer that up to them, and start to get them start calling. Just start calling. We will find somebody. It's a numbers game. So I'm really excited to start making some cold calls. If I got to go through 100 people to sell one, okay, great.
Just like you said, that's exactly what I was thinking. It's all part of a numbers game. And the more you build that lead list, the more opportunities, more chances for opportunities to arise out of those from contacting. And like we were talking about earlier, you reach out to 100 clients, you might get like 1 or 2 out of those 100 or more.
Maybe more, I don't know. But the other thing I was excited
But if you reach out to, sorry, Joe.
No, you're fine.
I just want to continue what I'm saying.
Good.
But if you reach out to like 10, your chances are way less than if you reached out to 100. Right. So, it's all a numbers game.
Well, and at this point, I believe you and I can always improve, right? But I think along the way, we've learned video production and creating imagery and understanding marketing and branding a little more than we would have back 12 years ago, right? So I feel like we have something to offer people. So I feel confident enough to make this lead generating, and call people. But the other thing I was excited about today was when I was going through all the websites after I copied and pasted them in from that scraper, is that I came across businesses I didn't even know existed in our area. And I love our area. I like where we live. I feel like there's people doing great business in our area. And so now we'll get exposed to some companies that we had no clue that were even operating in Ohio. And so I'm kind of excited to introduce us to them. And it's not like I want to sell them I like to just connect with them and start to see what they're all about. So
what was the company that you came across that you've had no clue about?
I don't want to mess the name up, but I think it was like Wakeman Camping or Wakeman Outdoor, and it was in Lorain. And it's this place
not in Wakeman?
No, but it was it had all this camping equipment. I had no clue that they even existed, right? And then I came across a couple construction companies that I didn't know about, and and so that's kind of cool. The thing is, too, I was thinking probably what we should do with the business page is from our business pages, go and like them first before I even start content. So build the list, start connecting with them, find out wherever their social media is, and connect our social media to them, and start to really dig through and see what they have. And I think that's really important. That was part of, establishing yourself with them, and really dig through and go through and see if there's anything you like about what they're doing. Because we want to still do business with people that we appreciate, or we don't want to just be out here making videos just to make videos. So, but we both like the outdoors, so it'd be great to go work with somebody in our area that has outdoor equipment. So,
yep,
that's the way I see it.
Yes. So, anyway, some of the other things on the bucket list for this week are. Let me see here. So we've talked about targeting industries that we chose, and also the cold call and just reaching out in general.
Yeah. So was only able to start working on this today, so I haven't had a whole lot of time to think about it. But that was one area I hadn't had a chance to talk to you about, is about linking our social media to their social media. And I feel like that's a part of this, generating the lead.
And also, like we said, cold calls, emails.
Yep.
There's a number of ways. The more you do it, the more chances you have. You can even reach out through social media.
Yep.
Like on Instagram, a lot of people will utilize Instagram messaging systems.
All the messaging systems and
Messenger.
Messenger.
What's it called within Instagram?
Messenger. I think it's a Messenger.
Yeah.
And same with Facebook. They're doing all that. They're liking what they have. They're saying that, but interacting with them first before you're trying to sell them something.
So many ways to reach out.
Yep.
And also following up with past customers. So keeping those relationships strong, because we don't always do that. Right. There's a lot of customers that we've had over the past year that I think it'd be important to reach out to them and see where they're at and see if maybe they'd be interested. Try to pitch the retainer idea.
Yeah, and that's why
some of those clients like that idea, but it just never happened. And I think that's because we were working through a middleman. So
right. And that's why I started with really was strong when I came to the desk where we were working out of the other place, was coming up with that client list, right? A comprehensive list of people that we already work with or we're reaching out to, right? And I agree with you. I think we can revisit some of those old clients and do that. And it's not like, the other thing too is like we've been talking over the last couple of years is like, social media and creating content is almost like a whole nother job. So it's nice for a business to have somebody that is just hyper focused on creating content, right? And so it's not that far of a step to ask a business owner to say, yeah, I'm not an employee of yours, but it's basically like you're hiring two other guys to think about my business for X amount of hours per month, right? So that's not a huge leap for a company. And I think companies are becoming more and more familiar with or comfortable with that because they know that they can't handle it. They do it for a little bit, they fall off, or they have somebody at their shop doing it for a little bit and they might not do it for 2 weeks and then they get back at it. And so you would have somebody that was, if you work with us, that's what we're focused on. So I think that's kind of exciting. I think we can scale that partnership depending on what industry we're going into. That's not going to look the same for a construction company as it's going to look for a coffee house, right? Those dollars might be proportionally different is the way I'm viewing it. You're not going to charge somebody $5,000 a month for a coffee house, but you might do that for a construction company. Unless they're Starbucks.
Or Dunkin' Donuts.
But for the most part, those are going to look different. So yeah, I think you bring up a good valid point. We need to keep our relationships open with the past customers this month.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I was going to say something and I totally forgot what it was. Yeah, anyway.
Could be worse.
Can always come back to it.
That's right.
Maybe on the 100th episode.
Yeah, we're only on the 9th one, so you might think of it again.
We're about to hit a milestone Wednesday.
10.
Number 10.
Yeah. So this is still hard. We're so new to this.
We're getting better at it. What helps me, and I'll be honest with it, I've been jotting down notes and bullet points of what our goals are for each week, since it's going to be a weekly podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of setting our goals for the week, and that's kind of what we're hashing out on this podcast, right? And kind of what problems we're facing, how we're solving those problems. So
some of and like out of that, what might happen good or what we've learned, what we're struggling with, and then also building a community around us. Like you said, if you have any ideas, give us feedback. We're more than willing to listen and hear.
And damn, this helps me out a ton.
Oh, yeah, I see the difference.
When I can look at it, it gives me a good structure.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the greatest communicator. I have my brain farts when I'm on camera.
And I think it's more inside. We've learned from looking at the footage, sometimes it's more inside than it is outside. And it's uncomfortable to put yourself out here like this, but it's more inside than outside. So,
well, we're in it now.
So yeah, that's where we're at.
I was working on vertical videos today, Joe. Yeah, you know how much I hate vertical videos.
Yes, I do. I've heard you say that before, and now you have to
any
make them for social media.
Or video creator hates vertical videos. No, we know it's essential today with social media and Instagram. So yeah, I've been working on IGTV videos, and a little tip for those of you that are doing vertical video advertising. So like IGTV and any kind of stories like Instagram, Facebook. I don't know what Facebook's specs are, but I know for Instagram, and this was something I learned this week. I actually learned this last year, but it slipped my mind for a while, and I got back into it this year for a client. So when you make your Instagram story videos and you're integrating your brand into it, you want to make sure that you keep your branding within specific constraints within that post. Because when it's posted, what people see are the post. And that's a 1080 by 1350.
I don't remember the number, but I kind of
constraints within that post.
Okay.
But when you open it up into like the full story post, and I could be saying some of this wrong, but when it fully opens up, then you're at a 1080 by 1920 vertical video.
Okay.
But when you first see it, it's squeezed down. So,
and you might not see the banners, right?
And you might not see that branding. It could be cut off. And some people watch it without actually clicking on it.
Right. Because it's already filling that space for them.
So basically what I do in Premiere Pro is I create a sequence that's 1080 by 1350, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll create another sequence that's 1080 by 1920.
Okay.
And then I'll take that 1080 by 1350 and transfer it. But remember, before you do that, you want to nest it, because if you don't, some of those clips, let's say you have B-roll in it, could be off a little bit and it'll jump around at the edges. Okay. That's what happened to me. So
I seen you working on that the other day.
Once I nested it, it fixed that and kept it within those constraints. So
now my question to you earlier this week was, so like those videos that were shot for that client, we weren't even thinking about it.
We weren't even thinking about it. I knew it was a possibility, but we hadn't talked about it. And they just came out recently asking if I could create those vertical videos for their story posts.
And my question to you, because I don't have as much experience in the editing station, right? Of course, is what can we do to better plan for that? Was there anything that we could do to, I don't know, set it up easier for us down the road when we have to come back and do something like that for a client?
Well, one thing that you could do is shoot wider.
Okay.
And I know for interviews, sometimes you can't shoot super wide because of sound issues, or depends on depends on like what your experience is. There are ways to counter that if you want to shoot super wide, but sometimes it's not right for the project either.
Yeah, it's not going to feel right it's not specifically
if you're
shot
going for a specific look.
Yep.
And we're going for a more personalized, intimate kind of interview look with these videos, because they're students telling their stories experiences.
And then also the culture of the campus and other sound bites that we're trying to connect with them.
And it works. You can make it work. The only problem you run into is if you are shooting kind of tight for those videos, sometimes you'll have to put another background behind that video. And what a lot of people do in the Instagram stories is they'll put that same clip that you're seeing. Like, for example, if it's an interview, they'll put the interview clip within those 1080 by 1350 constraints. We'll take that same video clip.
So you'll see just the edges, top and bottom,
to a layer or track below it, and they'll increase the size of it so it fills the full 1080 by 1920, and they'll put like a Gaussian blur on it.
Right, and blur it out, and you'll see it, And it's funny, like I hadn't noticed that much, and this week I've been coming across that now that you're doing it. And like you said, you've done it before.
Because it's a quick, easy solution to that issue if you didn't shoot specifically for IGTV or whatever.
Well, and I think that brings it back to the other point that I want to make is that the longer you work with a client and you know that they're going to be going down this path and utilizing those kind of things, you can better plan, right? So there are some things that we can do possibly in the future to make sure that we have options to make clips like this and make it easier on ourselves, more efficient, cost the client less because it's not taking you long to make them, as long to make them. So
they should do they might do this. I haven't looked at their stories, but they should do the kind of vlog style with their students,
right?
With vertical video. So like have the students say something on their phone, shoot it vertically, and post that to stories.
Well, I'm you know me, when I'm trying to sell and upsell, I can't wait to be able to do this. I like to take an organization and sit down and decide what that vlog is going to look like. So theme it out. So 1 month.
But in the meantime, when we're not doing,
like
yeah,
to theme it out, like so that they have like their organization has something to focus on.
Yes.
So it's not just all over the place. Like it might be, whatever it might be. I'm trying to think of an example right now, but like it might be shops. We're looking at the hands-on learning, right? So everybody in the vocational school is doing hands-on learning vlogs, or if it was, you get the idea. So it'd be themed out.
Yeah,
so
it should be planned. Some
right.
of that should be planned with us,
right.
But there's nothing wrong with them doing when we're not contracted with them, or if they have extra time for the students to do that sort of thing. That's all I'm saying with that.
No.
And I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it just helps them because I've heard people say, well, we don't get the right content or our people aren't doing it. And like,
if they're not, that's where we can come into play and help with that.
Right. So you can give them like a target to hit. Like this is everybody, we're looking for XYZ. So if you're doing this, if you could find a way to film this, right? Or maybe it's you want to show that the school or the organization works together. So every time you guys are working together as a team, get a shot. You know what I mean? So, yeah. All right.
But anyways, that's what I was working on today, and I'll be working on that throughout the week. So that's my goal, is to get all those videos done. So I'm gonna need to do, like, how many programs? There's like 18 or 20. Let's say there's 20 programs. So that's 20 times 4.
Yep.
What's that, 80 videos? Yeah. 80 vertical.
You got 80 vertical videos.
Well, no, it would actually be half that. So it'd be 40 like IGTV style videos, and then 40 regular format, so 1920 by 1080.
Well,
so that should be fun. They're already created, but it's pulling out those sound bites. But anyway.
No, it's good. At least that's your focus this week. Yep. So,
is there anything else you want to get into?
No, I just want to talk a little bit about
problem solving.
The video I made really worked out for the client. The one you helped me at, the last one we talked about. I was looking at
the most recent or the first.
The most recent
one.
Yeah, it was over
with the kind of where you had the quick photos.
Yeah, I mean, I went from a typical shoot like that might see a reach of interaction might be 100, and that was like almost 300 to 400 today. So actual engagement, it's pretty good. That's 300 unique engagements outside of my page. So thank you.
Have you gotten any response from it? Has anyone reached out?
I've had, I think because of that, and looking at I've had new likes because of it to the page. So that's good. So yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
So I think I'm going to keep that format. Anytime I can get behind the scenes like that and add that with that, that's going to be a good, it's a good use of my time.
Yes.
For that kind of reach. And they loved it. So having that piece. So thanks.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take a 20% cut.
Yep.
When you get some business in.
Yep.
You get a client, you got to give me a 20% cut of that.
I'm going to take a 40 on the other.
All right, yeah. Sounds fair. Okay, so we're going to start our kitchen soon. So we've been talking a lot about this property that we bought, and we're going to start the kitchen remodeling, and we're going to begin with painting the cabinet. So we have to take all the cabinet doors off, buy hinges. We still haven't, we've looked into the hinges. We have weird old cabinets, It's hard to find hinges for these style cabinets.
So we're not quite sure.
Custom cabinets, actually.
The reason we're doing the kitchen is because we want to bring it up to date, because we're going to be Airbnb in this thing, and we kind of want a more modern look to the kitchen. So we're going to paint the cabinets, get the hinges done, relay a floor. The ceiling's already done. Put some lighting in, right? We might spend some money on lighting.
Eventually get a new countertop.
And one of the things about this house is old, so we got to cut into the attic, and we need to get more.
I'm looking forward to that.
We need to get more
for some reason
electric into that kitchen.
Yeah,
there's only like 2 plugs in the whole kitchen where the stove's at, and one on the counter.
What if we find a Lake Erie treasure map in the attic?
Well, I feel like I'm in the Goonies movie. Man, I'm out. I should have got 2 drinks. Excuse me.
I can pour you some water, Joe.
No, I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So
you don't want to share my spit? Okay.
So yeah, that'll be. I'm really looking forward to that. So hopefully, maybe this week we can start. What do you think? Tomorrow.
Yeah.
What can we do tomorrow?
I don't know. We have a lot of shit to do this week, though. Well, as far as like business wise,
we'll do what we're doing before. We work in the day, and 4:00 then we start to work on this project.
Yeah. I got to get caught up on these podcast episodes too.
Well,
Joe's like, Brad, you're going to have to.
Something's going to have to give.
Figure something out then.
Better put your fucking cape on.
I'm ready, dude. Yeah. Let's do it.
So, yeah, I'm just doing the other rooms that we've done feel great living here. I can't wait to finish the bathroom and that. So that'll feel. And then as soon as we get the hallway finished, we'll be moving out of here. So.
Well, we have to set up the residential business zoning.
So that's what I got to work on. So I'm waiting for the old man out back to show.
Well, if you would have shoveled out his entrance to his driveway, then he might have been here sooner.
Yeah, I probably should have done that, but I didn't. So I got to wait for him to come, and then
he's probably expecting us to do that. He's probably like, if they don't shovel my fucking entrance to my driveway, then I'm not going to agree to anything.
Yeah. Well, I hope he does. But even if he doesn't, like, I have to go back to him and tell him now that the zoning is correct, and I have proof of that. He thinks it's commercial. It's not. It's residential. The driveway in the back is commercial. So I just go notify him that and see if he'll notify that it is that way, and hopefully he'll come along. So the paperwork then would allow us to, if he makes us an authorized agent, we can save him some money, get it commercial, and then hopefully we can get this residential business. So that's this week, huh?
Oh, I was working on the podcast website today too.
I know. Looks good. Simple, right?
Yeah. Still a lot to do, but I started it.
It's good. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the YouTube.
Yep.
Website. Logo is done.
Yep.
And we're
it's
on the 9th. It's going to be
cool when we get a nice logo display here with nice LED lighting shooting out with the colors. And
I think we can get that.
The eyeballs.
I'd like to get that printed on metal. So yeah, it's a good week.
Who makes those?
Oh well, there's one company that I want to go with.
It doesn't have to be metal though. There's other companies
they make an acrylic.
That'll be more close to our design. Can they color it and all that?
Oh,
like the same.
Oh yeah, it'll look. Okay. There's a company called Artbeat Studios I've been wanting to try, and everything I read about it, they do a really good job. So, there's some other pieces that I wanted to get printed out that is some of my artwork. So,
cool.
I think we'll try them. I was thinking like maybe like a foot by foot square.
Yep.
Get the 1-to-1 ratio.
So with the kitchen, we're going to start by painting the insides of the cabinets.
I think so. And we talked about maybe just doing those a white. We haven't really thought about it in a while. So it doesn't have to be the color. The upper cabinets we were thinking white, and then coming to the bottom and doing a different color. And I think we kind of have an idea on that color.
What if we did the insides of the upper cabinets the same color as the bottom cabinets? Okay.
Yeah, you're just flipping it.
And then the bottom cabinets the same colors. The inside of the bottom cabinets the same color as
I'm fine with that.
The top cabinets.
Or we could have a vinyl wrapping company come in and wrap our cabinets.
There you go.
We could make them into like a roller coaster for Cedar Point.
There you go.
I don't know what else you can make it.
Think anyone's done that before? We could be the first.
Or a whole like alien scene.
Yeah. We got to get a UFO light.
Yeah, so like the beams going through to the refrigerator or something. I don't know. So we could do that. That's an option.
Could we get like a action figure of you being sucked up into the beam of the light of the UFO?
Yeah.
Like a miniature Joe.
Actually,
the miniature Joe action figure would be the same size as you anyway.
So that should work out perfect, right? So yeah, I think we should do that. That would be fun. Or we can just paint them. I mean, we can paint them. It's probably
could
cheaper.
do that.
That's the other thing too. We're trying to be cost effective, right? We don't want to put a ton of money into that. We just want it built well and done well and presented well, but we're not going to be.
We'll do that, and then we're going to spray the outside of the cabinets
and the counter,
the doors,
and we'll need a new counter and closet and all that.
Need to determine like what kind of backsplash wall,
right? Because right now what's up there is kind of outdated color wise, right?
And there's tile on the back of it.
There's little tile, but it's got like dark.
So we can
sprout.
just paint.
I think we might be able to paint that.
That's fine. We can do that.
Paint it white or light or whatever we decide, and then the countertop, changing that out.
Yep.
And then we started looking at the faucets, right?
Yes.
And so we've got a kind of an idea on that.
I like those faucets they put in that property that they fixed up that I was showing you on Zillow.
Oh, okay, yeah, the duplex that they fixed up in town here. And
I like what they did with the countertops and the faucets and.
Yeah, they flipped that for $40,000 more. I think it was about that.
And we'll have to get we were talking about the dishwasher, like my grandma would say.
Dishwasher.
Yeah. Dishwasher.
Yeah, I think it's really important if we're going to Airbnb it that you have a dishwasher in it.
Yeah.
Because I've seen people do that with their rules. They say load the dishwasher before you leave. And da-da-da-da-da.
Well, you don't want to have to hand wash other people's dishes anyway, so you just want to throw them in.
Man, when I was a kid, I had to do that at Damon's restaurant. Oh,
I still do it today.
You do mine.
I used to hate doing dishes, and now it's like meditative to me.
Yeah, you put your earbuds on and listen to your podcast.
And with technology today, I just listen to my podcasts or whatever.
Yeah, I remember I got my brother a job at Damon's restaurant here. So I was doing dishes, and I got him a job so I could get out of doing dishes. He took my position. And
did you say Damien?
Damon's restaurant.
Okay, I thought you said my brother Damien.
No, Sean.
Okay, I thought that was maybe a mistake.
I remember at that time that restaurant used to be extremely popular. Like you would be back there washing dishes, and there would be stacks of dishes taller than you on the counters. You know what I mean? Just oh man, it was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of plates. Speaking
of that, back in the day, were you there when my dad was telling me when he used to work at Brown Derby?
No.
And I know one thing that they did was whatever bread or rolls that they had, at the end of the day, if people didn't eat them, they would take them and cut them up and turn them into.
He did. I was there.
Into croutons.
Yeah, he said I couldn't eat at that restaurant. Right?
Yeah.
I remember he's like,
he said if they would drop something that was like a high dollar meal.
Yeah, they would rinse it off.
Like
I was there.
What was an example? Lobster or something?
Yeah, he was saying something along those lines.
If they dropped it on the floor, they would just pick it up and
rinse it off
and heat it up.
Yeah. God, I can't even imagine.
I remember going there as a kid and eating too.
So, like when I was a kid working at that restaurant washing dishes, this guy would I didn't know it. I was young, so this guy would come by and ask me to do stuff for him, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how many shifts I was in, but this other older gentleman that worked there, he pulled me aside. He says, "Stop doing what he asked you to do. He's not your boss, and he's supposed to be doing all that shit." Well, I didn't know. I had no clue. I'm just a kid washing dishes. So every time he asked me, "What are you going to say?" Okay, I guess I'll help you. And I'd go to help this guy. Well, here this guy had me doing his job. And if it wasn't for the old timer there telling me it, I would have had no clue.
Was that you that made that noise?
It might have been
on
the table. So I would have had no clue that I was doing his job too. You know what I mean? I just thought it was like I was supposed to help out, you know. Thank God that old guy helped me out. Like, what a jerk. Like, that's what you get when you're 16 or 15, you know?
Yeah.
You don't know.
1122, Joe. I keep seeing 1122 every day.
Master numbers.
How was your dad's birthday today?
Well,
Big Joe
turned 72 today.
God damn.
And
congratulations to Big Joe.
It was really unusual.
Your parents are the shit.
They were
just thought I'd let everybody know that.
Wonderful tonight. Everybody was in good spirits, but it was really an unusual birthday.
Sorry for my foul language. Joe's mom.
Yeah, it was.
She's gonna smack me.
It was an unusual evening. We had my mom has a big family. She has 4 sisters and 5 brothers. And they had a small party tonight for the first time since COVID started. So we had my aunts came over and one of my uncles, and they brought a bunch of food. We sat around, had a nice dinner, nice conversation. We got to tell stories about my grandfather and my grandmother, and my dad had scanned all their old wedding photos from their album digitally and made a DVD and had it up on the TV in the living room playing.
Oh, that's cool.
And then my dad is not one to always buy presents and everything, and he went way overboard for my mother for their 50th anniversary. And so he wrote her this beautiful private letter that everybody has read and heard, and Dad's just like, every time my mom's all excited about it, right? So she's sharing it with everybody. My dad's like Jesus Christ, Carol, you know, it's like it's private. But they goes with it, you know, and he lets her do it. She's really excited about the gift that he gave her and the love note and all that. So yeah, it was really nice. Great time.
Did you guys have cake? Ice cream?
We had, my dad likes lemon meringue pie, I think is what it is.
You were telling me the other day with the leftovers that you had, what was that? The chicken a la king. Chicken a la king. So that's like your favorite birthday meal? What's your dad's?
Well,
does your mom make something specific for
No,
your dad?
he didn't have any. They made, she slow cooked some meat in a pot. What's those slow cookers called?
Like a crock pot?
Like a crock pot. And then my aunt made something, and all the aunts made something, and then he wanted the lemon meringue pie, and then my godmother made like this all berry pie and brought it over. But no, there's specific things Dad likes to eat, but he doesn't hold to that on his birthday like I do. I think it's been over 20 years for me. I have the same meal every year. Chicken a la king. Love it. So yeah, it was nice. My daughter called. My grandson was on there. My son-in-law, and then my brother Sean called them.
Cool.
It was a nice time. It was a really good time.
Like
Everybody was laughing at the table. We were telling stories.
I wish I could have been there, Joe.
You could have came. I was telling them, they were roaring about me laughing about this lady across the street getting stuck in the drift.
Yeah.
I was telling that story.
Did we tell that last episode?
No.
We didn't?
I don't think we did.
Shit, that was funny.
So like I wake up in the morning where Brad makes this amazing coffee and like warms up the cream and fresh prints. And so I'm sitting at the window, and we had this big storm. Well, we talked about having a snowstorm. I don't know if we talked about this or not, but so the night before we're watching people get stuck and everything. And, you know, Brad, hardly anybody got out of the street and shoveled themselves out. They waited till 7:00 at night and then came out with no shovel and tried to drive their car.
Tried to kick the snow out from under their tires.
That one lady was
2 feet of snow.
So we were laughing about that, you know. But then the next morning we woke up, and so Brad, I'm drinking my coffee, looking out the window, just looking at how much snow we got, and there's some guy out shoveling the next door neighbor's driveway.
Guy.
Yeah, and they're kind of like arguing, right? Wasn't there like a bicker moment there?
Yeah, something was going on.
So like,
I still don't know exactly what was going on.
Zero cares for me. I'm just kind of sipping my coffee, watching this all play out. And Brad's like, "Can they see?" I'm like, I don't give a fuck. This show's
like
hilarious.
Right up at the window, cracking up.
Just cracking up watching. So they bicker a little bit, and they go back in, and Brad and they're like, "Oh, that was weird," you know, kind of. And then so a few minutes later, they come out, and they're still like, seems like there's tension, right? She goes back in, and then she comes out her back door, and I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be good." So I'm kind of doing commentary right now, you know, like watching them come out, and she's stepping that drift, right? She gets the one leg in, and I'm like, "Oh, it's not good." She looks, and she gets the other one, and she's stuck, like she can't get out.
That drift was like half of her.
Right, it's like 3.5 feet, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say? So
at least.
So the guy shoveling the driveway, who doesn't live there, right? Like, she's yelling for help, so he walks over, and it's not like he wants to touch her. So what he
they're
does,
arguing, and then she gets stuck.
Yeah.
So he has to go over and help her.
So it's not like he wants to touch her, though, right? So what's he do with the shovel? He like
sticks it into the drift so she can get a grip on it and pull herself out.
So we're laughing. So
shit was hilarious.
You go out, and you later find out that he told her he was gonna shovel her driveway out of the kindness of her heart, and then
that's what she told me. That's right. Yep.
And then at the end of shoveling all this snow, he charged her $110, which her roommate came and paid, right?
I believe so, yes.
That's the story, right? So I'm like, holy shit, $110 to get your
He didn't even do that great of a job.
No, he didn't.
For $110, I would have had that fucking driveway. I would have had all the snow out. I would have had it salted.
Oh yeah.
I would have even shoveled out the street parking spots.
So I had a great time drinking my coffee that morning because like that's free entertainment, watching people get stuck in the drift and arguing over $110 shoveling job. But yeah, so yeah.
Yep. On that note, I think that's a wrap, Joe.
It's a wrap.
That's our show. We are the Our Vision podcast.
Yeah, and
it's not only our vision, but it's your vision.
And keep do something every day.
Yep.
That's what we're doing. So
that's right.
It's not always the getting it right. It's about doing something every day to move forward. So keep doing it.
Peace out, people.
Peace.